I never believed in haunted hotels, not really. I travel a lot for work, and I've stayed in every kind of place you can imagine. Budget motels, fancy resorts, those creepy little roadside lodges that smell like wet carpet. They all have their quirks. Flickering lights, noisy plumbing, creaky floors. But there's one hotel I'll never forget, and one room I'll never stay in again. It was early spring when my company sent me to a small city in northern Idaho for a week-long project. The town itself was quiet, surrounded by pine trees always covered in a thin layer of mist. The only hotel with vacancies was the Riverside Inn, an old brick building near the edge of the river. When I walked into the lobby, I immediately noticed how still the air felt. No music, no chatter, just the faint hum of fluorescent lights and the slow ticking of a grandfather clock in the corner. The clerk, a woman in her 50s with tired eyes, looked up as I approached. "Checking in?" "Yeah," I said, handing her my ID. "Reservation under Hale." She typed for a moment, then frowned. "You've been assigned to room 313. Her tone changed slightly, like she wanted to say something else but didn't. "Is that a problem?" I asked. She hesitated. "No, just that room hasn't been used in a while. The heating's a little unpredictable," I shrugged. "I'll survive." Room 313 was on the third floor at the very end of the hallway. The carpet was worn, and the lights flickered slightly as I walked. I could hear faint music from one of the other rooms, something old, like a piano playing through static. When I opened the door, a blast of cold air hit me. The room was neat but dated, floral wallpaper, an old TV, one of those heavy wooden desks that look like they've been there forever. The curtains were drawn tight, blocking the view of the river. As I unpacked, I noticed something odd. There was a second door inside the room. Not the bathroom, that was on the right. This one was built into the far wall, painted the same color as the wallpaper. There was no handle, just a faint outline. Curious, I knocked lightly. Hollow. Then, a faint sound from the other side, like a whisper. I froze, leaning closer. The air near that wall felt colder than the rest of the room. That night I tried to sleep but kept waking up. Around 2:30 a.m., I heard what sounded like faint footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate. I figured it was another guest. But then the steps stopped right outside my door. I waited. Nothing. Then came the whispering. Soft, almost like someone talking through the wall. I couldn't make out the words, but it was definitely a voice. Low, steady, right beside the hidden door. I sat up in bed, heart hammering. "Hello?" I said, my voice trembling. The whispering stopped. Silence. And then, just when I thought it was over, came a single, gasping breath from inside the wall. The next morning, I went downstairs and told the front desk clerk what had happened. She looked at me for a long moment, then forced a smile. "It's an old building, sir. The pipes make strange noises sometimes." "Pipes don't whisper," I muttered. Her face went pale. She leaned closer and said quietly, "If it happens again, don't answer, no matter what you hear." That sent a chill through me. "What are you talking about?" She just shook her head. "Room 313 should have been locked. I don't know how you ended up there." That night I seriously considered checking out, but it was late and the next hotel was 40 miles away, so I stayed. I wish I hadn't. I tried drowning out the noise with music, but the wall seemed to breathe. The wallpaper even shifted slightly when I ran my hand across it, like there was space or something utter moving behind it. At 3:17 a.m., I heard the whisper again, clearer this time. It was saying my name. I froze under the blanket, barely breathing. "You're just tired," I whispered to myself. "You're imagining things." Then from the wall, "Let me out." My blood went cold. The sound wasn't distant anymore. It was right next to my ear, like someone was pressed against the wall, whispering directly into the room. I grabbed my phone and shined the flashlight at the wall. The wallpaper near the outline of the hidden door was bulging slightly, just a little, like it was breathing. Then came another whisper, sharper, angrier. "You hear me now?" That was enough. I threw on my jacket and bolted out of the room. Downstairs, the night clerk jumped as I ran up to the counter. "What's wrong?" "Someone's in my room," I shouted. "There's a door in the wall. I heard voices." He looked confused. There's no extra door in 313, it's a solid wall. I dragged him upstairs. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the keycard twice. When we opened the door, the wall was smooth, no outline. No door, nothing, just wallpaper. I checked out the next morning. I told my boss I'd stay in a motel outside town no matter the cost. A few days later, my curiosity got the better of me. I looked up Riverside Inn online and found something that made my stomach twist. About 6 years ago, a man named Ethan Price had stayed there. He vanished without a trace. The last security footage showed him entering room 313 late at night. He was never seen again. When they searched the room, they found scratches all along one section of the wall, deep gouges, like someone had tried to claw their way out. That wall had since been sealed. A month later, I was back home trying to forget the whole thing. But some nights around 3 a.m. I still wake up to faint sounds. Not loud, just a whisper. Sometimes I swear it's coming from inside my walls, and when I get close enough I can just barely make out what it's saying. You let me in. When I first moved into that house, I thought I'd found a miracle. It was cheap, too cheap. But the real estate agent said it was because the owner had moved suddenly. I didn't care. It was a quiet neighborhood just outside town, with big trees that swayed gently in the wind and a front porch that caught the sunset perfectly. I should have known something was off the first night. The place had this strange smell. Not bad, just old, like stale wood and damp wallpaper. The house creaked constantly as if it was alive. I laughed it off and blamed the age of the place. I spent the night unpacking boxes until past midnight, music playing softly in the background. Around 1 a.m. my phone died, and the silence that followed was thick. I remember standing in the living room when I heard it for the first time. A soft click like a camera shutter. I froze. Looked around. No one there. I thought maybe something in the walls was settling or a pipe was popping from the cold. But then it happened again. Click. From behind me. I turned, expecting to see a light or reflection. Nothing. Just my own shadow cast long across the wall. That night I had trouble sleeping. I kept feeling like someone was standing just outside my bedroom door watching. Every time I looked, it was open just an inch wider than before. By morning, I convinced myself it was paranoia. Moving into a new house alone will do that to you. But then, when I went downstairs, I noticed something strange on the kitchen counter. A Polaroid photo of me sleeping. I dropped it like it burned me. My hands were shaking. The photo was crisp, recent. I was wearing the same shirt I had on that night. The lighting looked like it was taken through the crack in my bedroom door. I searched the house top to bottom. Closets, attic, basement, even the crawl space, nothing. Every window was locked from the inside. Every door secure. I started wondering if someone was playing a sick joke. Maybe the agent had a spare key. Maybe the owner never moved out? I changed all the locks that day, but that didn't stop it. The next night, I set my phone on video record, propped up facing my bed. I left the light dimmed and pretended to sleep. Around 3:15 a.m., there was movement. My heart started pounding as I watched the shadows shift along the wall. It wasn't human. It stretched and curled unnaturally as if whatever, was behind the camera wasn't solid. Then I heard the same sound. Click. I stared at the screen, breath caught in my chest. The shadow moved toward the phone. The image distorted, the light flickered, and then the screen went black. When I woke up, the phone was back on the nightstand. The recording file was gone. In its place was another Polaroid. This time it was taken from right above me. My eyes half open, face turned slightly toward the lens. I could see something in the reflection of my eye. A pale face, long fingers holding the camera. By the third night, I couldn't take it anymore. I called the real estate agent and demanded answers. She hesitated before speaking like she'd been expecting this call. Mr. Hale, I told you the owner moved suddenly. What I didn't mention is that his family reported strange activity before they left. What kind of activity? I snapped. She lowered her voice. They said the house, watch them, that it had eyes. They kept finding photos of themselves. The owner started hearing whispers, seeing flashes in the mirrors. He stopped sleeping. Then one night he disappeared. My blood ran cold. You mean he's still missing? She didn't answer. That night I couldn't sleep at all. I sat in the living room with every light on, clutching a flashlight like a weapon. Every creak made me jump. Every shadow looked like it was moving. Around 2:40 a.m., I heard the front door slowly open. My flashlight beam shook as I aimed it toward the hallway, but the door was still locked. The sound wasn't coming from the front. It was inside the house. Then the clicking started again, rapid this time, one after another, echoing through every room, like dozens of cameras going off in the dark. I covered my ears and shouted, "Stop it!" The noise stopped, but the silence that followed was worse, because from the staircase, I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, coming down, one step at a time. I raised the flashlight and froze. Something was on the stairs, a pale figure, thin and tall, half its face missing, standing in the dim light. In its hands it held an old-fashioned camera, the kind with a flashbulb and black cloth draped over the back. It raised it toward me. Click. I ran. Out the back door, through the yard, down the street barefoot. I didn't stop until I reached a gas station 2 miles away. The clerk must have thought I was insane, and I was covered in dirt, shaking, stammering something about pictures and someone in my house. The police came. They searched everything, but the house was empty. No sign of forced entry. No footprints. They found my flashlight lying on the floor, still on. And in the middle of the living room, they found a stack of Polaroids, neatly arranged, every single one of me, standing in different parts of the house, sleeping, sitting, even staring directly at the camera. One of them, the last one in the pile, made the officer's hand freeze midair. It showed me sitting in the gas station, talking to the clerk. I left town the next morning, rented a new place, smaller, newer. I told myself it was all in my head. Stress, sleep deprivation, something explainable. But I can't shake the feeling that I'm still being watched. Sometimes when I close my curtains, I hear the faintest sound behind me. Click. And every now and then when I wake up, there's a Polaroid waiting on my kitchen counter. The same pale figure in the background, always closer. I've always loved antique shops, not for the value but for the stories behind things. Old furniture, faded photographs, cracked paintings. They all carry a kind of quiet history. So when I moved into my new apartment last year, I decided to fill it with things that had a bit of a past. That's how I found the mirror. It was a full-length, Victorian-style mirror with a dark wooden frame carved with roses and vines. The glass was slightly foggy, like it hadn't been cleaned in years. I found it in a small antique shop on the outskirts of town, the kind that smells like old wood and dust. The old man running the shop noticed me staring at it. "Beautiful piece, isn't it?" he said. "Yeah," I replied. "How old is it?" He hesitated. Late 1800s, I think. Came from an estate sale. Belonged to a family that... He stopped himself, then forced a smile. "Well, that's old history now." He sold it to me for half price, saying it had been sitting there too long. I should have taken that as a warning. The first night after I brought it home, I leaned the mirror against my bedroom wall, facing my bed. It gave the room a nice depth. At least that's what I thought at first. But later that night, I woke up around 2 a.m. and noticed something strange. The reflection looked darker than it should have been. My room was dimly lit by the streetlight outside. Yet in the mirror, it looked almost pitch black, like it was reflecting a different kind of darkness. I brushed it off, blaming it on sleepiness, and went back to bed. The next morning, I realized something that made my stomach twist. The reflection showed my bedroom exactly the same, except the window in the mirror was open. Mine wasn't. I tried to rationalize it, lighting, angles, whatever. But when I stood in front of it and blinked, I could have sworn I saw movement behind me. Just a faint flicker, like a shadow passing across the wall. That night I turned the mirror to face the wall. But around 3 a.m. I woke up to a soft scraping sound, like fingernails on glass. I froze in bed, heart hammering. The sound went on for a few seconds, then stopped. The next morning I found faint streaks across the mirror's surface. Long, uneven lines that looked like they'd been made from the inside. I tried to convince myself it was a coincidence, that maybe I'd scratched it while moving it. But things got worse after that. Whenever I passed the mirror, I'd catch glimpses of something, a shape, maybe a person, standing slightly behind me in the reflection. I'd turn around, and of course nothing was there. It got so bad that I started avoiding looking at it altogether. Then came the dream. In it, I was standing in front of the mirror, staring at my reflection. Only it wasn't moving like me. It stood perfectly still, eyes locked on mine, mouth slightly open. Then slowly it raised its hand and started tracing something on the glass. Letters. I woke up sweating, heart pounding, but I couldn't remember what the letters spelled. The next morning, I found a message scratched faintly on the mirror's surface. Let me out. I nearly dropped my coffee. My first thought was that someone had broken in, but my apartment was locked tight and no one else had a key. I covered the mirror with a blanket. That night the noise came back, louder this time. A tapping sound, rhythmic, steady. Tap, 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 like someone knocking from the other side. I didn't sleep. By the third day, the air in my apartment felt heavy. The lights flickered every few hours. My phone battery kept draining even when I wasn't using it, and whenever I looked toward the mirror, even covered, I felt watched. I called the antique shop, desperate to return it. The old man who sold it to me didn't answer, so I drove there myself. The store was closed. The windows were dusty, covered from the inside. A paper taped to the door read, "Closed permanently. Estate reclaimed, no phone number, no address, nothing." I drove home in silence. That night I decided to get rid of the mirror myself. I dragged it outside into the alley behind my building and leaned it against the dumpster. As I turned to leave, I caught one last glimpse of it under the streetlight. My reflection was still standing there, but it wasn't copying me anymore. It was smiling. I didn't sleep that night. I left every light on, curled up on my couch, waiting for morning. Around 4 a.m., I heard something fall over in the alley, a loud crash of glass shattering. Relieved, I thought maybe the mirror had finally broken. But when I looked out the window, the alley was empty. No broken glass, no mirror, nothing. The next day, I found it leaning against my bedroom wall again. The blanket still on it. That was the moment I lost it. I grabbed a hammer and swung with everything I had. The mirror cracked down the middle, spiderwebbing from top to bottom. For a second, I thought it was over. Then something cold and sharp sliced across my hand, like a shard moving from inside the glass. I dropped the hammer and stumbled back, clutching my bleeding palm. In the mirror, my reflection wasn't bleeding. It just stood there, smiling, head tilted. Then it raised its uncut hand and pressed it against the glass. A single word appeared in the fogged reflection where its hand touched. Trade. That was 2 months ago. I got rid of the mirror, or tried to. I dumped it in a landfill an hour away, wrapped in blankets, duct taped shut. But every night since, I dream about it. I dream that I'm standing in front of it again and my reflection is whispering something I can't hear. Last night I woke up to find my bedroom colder than usual. My breath visible in the air. I turned over, and there it was. The cracked mirror, leaning against the wall. Blanket gone, my reflection smiling faintly. Hand pressed against the inside of the glass, and this time, when I reached for my phone to take a picture, it lifted its hand too, but mine didn't move.